Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast, part of the Bet Rivers Network. A football Friday for week number 8. Began last night with the Vikings and the Chargers. It is a week of two things. Number one, it's a week of buys, big buys, a lot of teams off. And number two, it's the week of quarterback injuries and one prominent quarterback coming back. That, of course, Lamar Jackson, who will be back in the lineup for Baltimore against Chicago this week. As I said, buys this week, buys for the Lions, the Cardinals, the Jags, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Seahawks all off this week. So you have 6 NFL teams off, which takes away some of the volume from this weekend's games. And as I said, a lot of nagging quarterback situations that just don't seem to get rectified. We find out about some of them. Some of them you have to wait till game time. But again, the bottom line is, it's one of those years where injuries have taken an incredible toll. Think about the injury toll on the Ravens. Although they're getting a bunch of guys back this week, but I don't think enough and for the big picture. Think about the toll for the Chargers, who have been so banged up this year. We can go on and on. All right, Giants and Eagles. The Giants come off the historic loss, but again, there were some good things to build on there, especially Dart's performance. They're 2-5. Hey, they're not going anywhere this year, but they are going to bother some people. They are going to win some games. They are going to build something for the future, starting with Dart and Scatterboo. Okay. They get the Eagles for the second time in 3 weeks. 2 weeks ago, the Giants pushed the Eagles all over the building. Okay. So the Eagles know that, and they don't want it to happen again. But they're going to have to improve, because the thing the Eagles have to do is they have got to get their running game solidified. They have not had the running game you expect from them, and they're not stopping the run because of the injuries they've had on defense. Now, the Giants clearly are playing better football, okay? They have to still raise their game defensively, especially in terms of pass rush. And in this game, making sure they contain the running. Okay. Lane discipline is extremely important when you're playing against a guy like this, because he is going to, if you get caught up field against him, he's going to turn it into a big play on the sideline, running the ball down the sideline. So, again, take that into account. Dart, you know he's going to run. You want him to run a little less. You want him to be a little more careful. Scatterboo is going to be Scatterboo. That's all he is. I think this game's going to be an interesting game. I do. I think the Giants are going to be a pain in the neck for teams. Now, they're not going to win every game. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes that youth makes. They're going to make mistakes because they're not there yet. They have to add pieces, but they're playing with a passion. They're playing with an optimism. They're playing with a confidence that we haven't seen from the Giants in a long, long time. Going down to Philly, and I know all Dart's heard this week is, hey, you haven't confronted craziness yet. You haven't confronted hate yet. You're going to get it this week when you go to Philadelphia. This kid's not going to be fazed by that stuff. Okay. He's not going to be fazed by the crowd. I could tell you that right now. It's not going to bother him. And the one thing that really was so telling is the talk after the game from the Bronco coaches, from the Bronco players was, we had no idea Dart was this good. We had no idea he was this good. He's really good. And he is. And his pocket awareness is so rare. I've talked about that on the air since he's taken over. His pocket awareness, his field vision is so unusual for a rookie quarterback. That it makes it interesting. I can't wait for Giant games now. I dreaded Giant games for years. Now I can't wait to see them play. The Jets, on the other hand, I mean, listen, I don't know what Glenn wants to do. Taylor's got a little banged up. That's why I told you Taylor can't be the starting quarterback every week, because he can't stay healthy. He's going to play. He's going to be the starter because you can't put Fields out there, and then Woody kills Fields during the week. But 0-7 against the Bengals, who now feel they have a new lease on life with Flacco. With their weapons, it's going to be tough. Going to be tough. It really is. Jets are headed for 0-8. Dolphins are 1-6, and they're almost as big a mess as the Jets are. Now, the Falcons, 3-3, lost to the Niners last week. Pence has got I guess, a bone bruise So it'll be a game time decision for him. They sound like he's going to play, but I don't think they're going to rush him out there if they think he's hurt. So we'll wait and see. Check that out obviously on Sunday as to whether or not Pence is in the lineup against the Falcons. Um, but they're going to run the ball right down the Dolphins. So the Dolphins have been yielding huge rushing yards. Now they get Robinson, so they're going to. I mean, they're going to give up a ton of yardage. There's no question about it. The Browns and the Pats. Hey, the Pats have made a complete move with Vrabel. Their quarterback has become one of the big players at the position in the league. They're 5-2, and I can tell you they're headed to the playoffs. They get the Browns this week. The Browns have some players who are performing, some rookies who are performing on offense. Their defense is really good, but their defense can't do it alone for 40 minutes. So for 60 minutes. So uh, the bottom line is you need to get some kind of play productivity out of the offense. I don't think they get enough to win the game, but I think the Browns are playing better. And I think they do have some good young players. So we'll see where that's headed. The Bills and the Panthers. The Panthers have been good at home. Young's out this week with an ankle. Dalton starts. Dalton can play the position. Dalton can play the position. We know that. I'm really mystified by the Bills. They're 4-2. They haven't played well. They haven't even played well a little. So from that standpoint, where are they? Where is Josh Allen? Where is this team right now? Uh, you're not going to answer that this week against Carolina. You'd be shocked if they lose to Carolina. If they do, you got a bigger story. But remember, next week, 425, Chiefs, resurgent Chiefs at Bills. Next week, week 9 in Buffalo. That's one of the big AFC games of the year. Now, Bet Rivers Football Squares. Players who place a qualifying same game parlay of at least $10 on eligible NFL or NCAA football games will receive one standard entry into the weekly Squares game. Winning standard squares will be awarded a prize of a $20 bonus bet. See app and website for more details. So have some fun with and a little added excitement with the squares game at Bet Rivers. Now, the Bears and the Ravens. The Bears are playing better, and their defense has been forcing a ton of turnovers, a ton by the truckload. That makes your defense look a lot better when you're forcing turnovers. Now they get the Ravens, who are 1-5, but draw a line after the 1-5. The Ravens are returning. They are returning in the person of Lamar Jackson. Listen, they go from being a team that wins 1/3 of its games without Jackson, if they're lucky, to now a team that historically wins somewhere close to 75% of its games with Jackson in the lineup. Now, they're also getting blocking back. They're also getting defensive personnel back. They're getting a fullback back, a tackle back. They're getting 3 key guys on defense back. They will be a different team. As a matter of fact, they might now off the bye be as healthy as they're ever going to be this season. So I expect a big effort out of the Ravens this week. I expect the Ravens to say, hey, you guys all buried us. You think we're dead? Watch this. Boom. And here comes our resurgence. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they have too many long-standing injuries for that. But I do think they'll play big this week and win going away. I think this is the wrong week to catch them in Baltimore. Niners are 5-2. Purdy still isn't ready. They go to Texas to play the very disappointing 2-4 Texans, who just can't get out of their way offensively. Now they got injuries at wide receiver. Give Shanahan an incredible amount of credit. That team has been so banged up. Now he leans on McCaffrey, which he's a great player. It shows, but they have so many injuries and they're 5-2. Give them, I mean, that's an incredible achievement for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they go to 6-2. I would normally pick the Texans in the spot in a must-win spot, but I don't trust them. I don't trust their offense. I think there's something really missing there, and I think they could wind up being probably as disappointing as any team in the league this year. They have a playoff defense. They just can't play offense right now. The Bucs come off a loss against the Lions. I expected the Lions to beat them by more than 2 scores. They did. Now they get the Saints at 1-6. Listen, the Bucs are banged up. They don't have Irving. They already lost Evans. They're down other players. Their star rookie receiver has got a hamstring. He played last week, but he's still got a hamstring. The Bucs will find a way with Baker to get to 6-2 because the Saints don't know how to win yet. That's the bottom line. The Bucs will do enough to get this game. This game is interesting. The Cowboys at 3-1, and I think the Cowboys staff has done a really good job because their offense has been terrific. I mean, the Cowboy offense has put up 44, 27, 37, 40 points. Dak is playing as well as any quarterback in the league. 71% completions, 268 passing yards per game, 16 touchdowns, 3 intercepts. He's got a tight end he loves in Ferguson. He's got back, Lamb back. He's getting so much out of key guys. They have a lot of weapons on offense. Lamb comes back last week, gets a 74-yarder. They got plenty of receiving. They are good offensively, even though they've had any injuries to the offensive line. Now, their defense is sieve-like. That's all there is to it. Now, here comes Denver, which has been suspect offensively, but they sure came on strong last week against the Giants. They're going to try and pressure Dak. Dak's going to move the ball against them. They're going to move the ball against Dak. Against Dallas. Dallas can't stop anybody. But I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to be a very, very competitive game. Dallas is, they're really good offensively and they're really bad defensively. That's basically it. And that probably makes them around a 500 team. Tennessee at 1-6. The Colts 6-1. The Colts are the only 6-1 team in this league. That's it. There's no other 6-1 team. Everybody else, there's 11 teams that have 2 losses, either 4-2 or 5-2, depending on their bye situation. 11 teams have 2 losses. 1 team has 1 loss. That's the Colts. There are no undefeated teams, obviously. There's only 1 winless team. We know who that is. Now, the Colts have been incredibly consistent. I know everyone likes to look, oh, they didn't play anybody. The bottom line is the Colts keep winning. 33, 29, 41, 20, 40, 31, 38. Taylor's having a huge year. Warren is establishing himself as a superstar tight end. I gave you 2 players this year I loved in the draft. Warren, who I thought was the best tight end prospect I've ever seen in college, and Scatterbo, who should not have been a 4th rounder. Warren is having a great year. He has caught at least 4 balls in every single game as a rookie. That is unusual to have that kind of consistency. If you watch him on film, on tape, he's an exceptional player. If you haven't seen him yet, check him out. He really is impressive. You're going to see the Colts in some big games down the road. There's no question about it. They have a game coming up with the Chiefs later on, I think week 11. Sunday night, that's Taylor, of course. She lies here until someone might knock on the door or something. Somebody's coming in the house or something. So she lies at my feet, then she scoots off when somebody comes to the house. She's a good little watchdog, even though she's 20 pounds and couldn't hurt a fly. Sunday night, the Packers and the Steelers. Now, they're going to make a lot out of Rodgers and the Packers. Rodgers and revenge. Rodgers has been gone from Green Bay too long. Nobody cares. Let's be honest. Nobody cares now. Is it a storyline you can sell? Yeah. I mean, you try to sell it. It's nonsense. They've been gone too long. The game, though, the Packers They're winning games, but they're not as impressive as we thought they would be. They're not as consistent offensively as we thought they would be. Now, they're going to try and pressure Rodgers, obviously. They are going to try and make his life very uncomfortable. All right. That's the way you want to move him off his mark. You want to get him on the run. You want to rattle him a little bit that way. Because when he plays, you know what? He throws touchdown passes. When he gets a chance, he throws touchdown passes. And the Steelers, 4-2. Cincinnati's not dead yet, but they're in great shape in their division. They're going to the playoffs. It'll be an interesting game. Rodgers is completing 68% of his passes. He has 14 touchdowns and 5 intercepts. Parsons has 5.5 sacks. Not a wonderful number yet, but he's building. Now, I look at that Rodgers 14-5, 14 touchdown passes, 5 intercepts. You're telling me the Jets couldn't have taken a meeting with this guy? That it was beneath Aaron Glenn to take a meeting with this guy and to see if there was some way to work him into this team this year? 14 touchdown passes in Pittsburgh. I mean, think about it. Think about the Jet quarterback position and think about a guy who's a 4-time MVP, a Super Bowl champion, a first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the great quarterbacks of all time, wants to play for you and you won't even give him the time of day. I understand that Glenn was told not to have a diva quarterback or, a superstar quarterback. The bottom line is you have to have someone to play the position. The fact that the Jets didn't do this is it just shows you how patently inept, how patently dumb. And you know how much I pushed for them to get Rodgers resigned, or just to bring him back. They didn't have to resign him, just to bring him back. Go with Rodgers and take a shot at this year. Instead, they are a laughing stock. You just wonder what goes through people's heads. You really do. But it will be interesting to watch Rodgers and the Packers on Sunday night. Should be a good game. And then Monday night has gone boom because the Commanders will be without Daniels. Daniels now is going through his second injury of the season. I don't think he's ever fully healed from the first, which was a hip injury. No team in the league has its offense tailored to the quarterback more than Washington has tailored its team and its offensive game plan to Daniels, to his abilities, to his running abilities, to his moving abilities, to putting movement in the offense, putting running plays into the offense, putting certain plays into the offense. And Washington has never been 100% this year. They've been missing somebody about their offense all year. I know Washington was a playoff team this year, but they have been decimated by injuries. And now I think that this is going to be a year where they just write it off as sophomore jinx or whatever, that he was never healthy, and they build for next year. Daniels is going to have a very good career in Washington. There's no question. He's a very talented player. He's having one of those years. Now to the Chiefs. The Chiefs last week were very benevolent towards Pete Carroll and the Raiders. They beat him 31-0. They could have beat him 62-0. They called the dogs off because Andy likes Pete. And Andy's a good guy. The Chiefs are back. Don't question anything. They are back. They have Worthy healthy. They have Rice back. They have wide receivers now. Mahomes is having a big year. Okay, 14 touchdowns, 2 intercepts. They are now 4-3. They beat the Lions. They killed the Raiders. Now they get the Commanders. They're going to blow them out. They're 12.5-point favorites. I don't usually like the Chiefs as a margin team. I think this game's going to be just a blowout. Next week they play the Bills in Buffalo. If the Chiefs win that game, And right now, they're the better team. If they win that game next week, they might run the table. As it is, I don't think the Chiefs are going to have more than, say, 4 losses by the time the season's over. I think the Chiefs are going to be on a major roll the rest of the way, and there's a reason why they're favored to win the Super Bowl right now. Why? Because they are the best team in the AFC, and they're as good as any team in football. That's the bottom line, and they have a great coach and a great quarterback. And yeah, Kelsey's not the same anymore, and Chris Jones is not the same anymore. But they have ways to compensate, and their offensive line can be tricky. They have ways to compensate. They figure things out, and while it looked, I told you, I thought that Detroit game was extremely telling. If they had gone to 2-4, I think it would have been a very different season. They buried the Lions in the second half. I know people are, oh, they just allowed the play. They did this. Hey, after the first 10 minutes of that game, well, really, I'd say 2 minutes into the second quarter, after that, the Chiefs dominated the game. Lions are a good team, but the Chiefs dominated the game. And the Chiefs, there's no question about them going to the playoffs. And right now, if you made me pick a team in the AFC to go to the Super Bowl, I'd pick the Chiefs. The season started, I picked the Ravens. I picked the Rams and the Ravens. I still like the Rams. But the Ravens, I don't think can get to the playoffs with all the injuries they have. They have been decimated by injuries. Hey, they blew a game the first night they should never have blown. But since then, they have been absolutely decimated. Now they get guys back this week. I think they're going to win some games. I'm sure they'll go on a winning streak. But I just don't think they're going to be able to get to the playoffs from 1-5. As we said, Lions are off this week. Cards are off this week. Jags are off this week. Raiders are off this week, mercifully. Rams are off this week. Seahawks are off this week. Jones at quarterback still for Purdy. Daniels is out. You know that. You got to check on Pence. Young is out. So a lot of quarterback situations around the league, and that has been the case all year. You know, if you look at QBR rating, which to me, that's not the end all and be all for quarterbacks. Because I'm just giving you one barometer. Prescott, Daniel Jones, Mahomes, Mayo, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you go by touchdown passes, interceptions, Stafford's got 17 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. Dak's got 16 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Goff's got 15 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions. Mahomes has 14 too. And Baker has 13 too. You add all that up, and you have a different group of guys playing well. Sam Darnold's playing well at quarterback. Baker Mayfield's playing well at quarterback. Daniel Jones is playing well at quarterback. May has emerged at quarterback. You have some different figures, but you still have one name there that's always there. Mahomes. Mahomes is right there where he always is. And if you wonder whether or not they are now, they didn't get up to the best start. And I'm not saying they are the dominant team they have been at points during the last 5 years, but they have a real good chance to win another Super Bowl or to be in another Super Bowl. I don't think there's any question about it. The NFC is a much tougher call because you have good teams in the NFC and you have teams that are going to be interesting. The Lions, the Rams. You got to put the Eagles in there. Okay, they all have to be there. All right, the Packers. These are all good teams. They're going to have some really good games. In the AFC, unless the Bills reemerge, and the last couple of weeks you've looked at the Bills and scratched your head the way they've played. Ravens, Chargers, Bills. Those are the teams you thought along with the Chiefs to start the season. Cincinnati, but they lost their quarterback. Can't blame that on that. The bottom line is, I don't think Pittsburgh has a Title contender. I think they're going to the playoffs, but I don't think they're a title contender. It's still the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still right there, and they deserve favoritism right now the way they're playing. Forget the record. It'll be 5-3 after this week, and then next week, Buffalo, Kansas City. Maybe we'll get some answers there. Maybe we'll see if Buffalo can respond at home to that kind of challenge. Enjoy your football Sunday.